right, let's open up with a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east toward Jerusalem. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharal, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for a wonderful spring, Yahweh, giving us a beautiful start to our year. We thank you that you have given us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to look towards marking your new months, Yahweh. We thankful that you brought us into your fourth Rosh Hashanah, Yahweh, into a new season, beginning of summer. And we're also thankful that you have showed us these things that the ancients knew, how to calculate seasons and times and days, Yahweh, not for vain purposes, Yah, but so that we could be on one accord with you, Yahweh, let it be done on earth as it is in heaven, Yahweh. So we're thankful of any knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you allow us to have to willfully align ourselves with your calendar, Yah. Yah, as this month goes forward, Yahweh, we thank you, Yahweh, once again for all the mercy and the grace and the patience that you had with us through the previous month. And we ask that you continue working with us, Yahweh. Bear with us, Yahweh, and understand that we are just children trying to find our way home. And Yahweh, we always ask that you guide us with your knowledge and with your wisdom, Yahweh, and keep our eyes open so that we can watch the narrow path. And we ask that you also open up our ability to understand, Yahweh, so that we can glorify you in all our deeds and purge those things, Yahweh, which do not bring you glory or glory to your nation. Yeah, all these things we humbly come before you, and we thank and we pray. And we also ask, Yahweh, for a special hedge of protection about all our family members, Yahweh, in this word, Yahweh, that are abroad, that may be going through difficulties, Yahweh. We ask that you strengthen them, encourage them, and allow them to keep their eyes on the narrow path as they navigate through these worldly things that we have to deal with as we navigate through this realm, Yah. All these things we humbly come before you, and we thank and pray through Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Amen. You have it on mute, or is it just picking it up?
It's mute.
Okay.
It's just loud.
All right. We just hung up by accident. All right, shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal, my brother Wesley Yasharal. Shalom. And we are in our Rosh Hashanah, fourth new month. Brother Yonatan is in containment for today. You know, he got that whooping cough or whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Either way, we figured we'll spare y'all today. So praise y'all for Brother West stepping in for us today to read. So today, you know, a lot of times we do new month every month, actually. And, you know, we have different topics. But we always get a lot of questions about, you know, what is new month? You know, a lot of assemblies don't even deal with it, or they're calling it new moon, according to the improper translation. We're not going to really get into all that translation as far as Rosh Hashanah versus Yeriach or Hodesh and Hadash and all that. But we're just going to focus on the law of new month, that this is something that we are commanded to keep. This is an appointed time. These are set apart dates that we have to keep. And for one of the main reasons we have to keep it is because we have to keep a track of our calendar. We need to know where we are in relation to these holy days, just like the Sabbath day is a sanctified day. and everything else is a day, first day, second day, third day. In other words, one day after, second day after, third day after, fourth day after the sanctified separated day. So we want to get into that and understand what the meaning of new month is, what we're supposed to do, and how we keep this commandment. This is important. So we'll go ahead and open up. We're going to open up in Psalms Tehillim, chapter 81. And Shalom, Dan Goldman. Good to see you. Good to see you back. Haven't seen you in a while. We're going to open up in Psalms Tehillim, chapter 81. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
All right. Psalms Tehillim, chapter 81 and verse 1. Sing aloud unto Elohim our strength. Make a joyful noise unto Elohim of Yaakov. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon. In the
new moon. It says new moon, but if you look at that Hebrew word, what's the Strong's for that?
2320.
Right, 2320, which is Hodesh or Hakdesh, if you're going to put that nasal sound in there. H2320 is Hodesh, spelled Chodesh, and that is the new month, by implication monthly. Now it does say in the Strong's definition new moon, and if you want to find out why that is a mistranslation, we have whole classes on that. We also have different studies that we've done that. We also have a documentary did on that, which will clarify that, because there's separate words for moon, there's a separate word for new, and in every language, including the Greek that they use, there's separate words for moon, which is Selene in Greek, and then Neos, which is new, and there's a separate word for month in which is Mane in the Greek, as well as there's a separate word for Hodesh for month, and then there's a separate word for moon or lunation, which is Yerak, which is the whole lunation of the moon. So we are to blow up the trumpet in the new month in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. This is a statute for Yasharah and a law of the Elohim of Yaakov. So let's see where this law is. Let's go to Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 10. Numbers chapter 10. And you know, the King James has issues in it, translation issues. But why I like the King James is because I can prove where those translation issues, because I can get a Strong's Concordance with the lexicon, and I can see the number next to every Hebrew word that was written in the Old Testament and every Greek word in the New Testament. And then I can go see the definitions of these words that have been around for thousands of years and make sure that they're translating it properly. When you read through the Old Testament and the New Testament, you'll see constant moon worship going on. They had lunar gods. Even the calendar is called Luna, after the pagan god Luna, lunar calendar. And you see clearly, even Saul was talking about Diana, the goddess. They used to bake cakes round like the moon to her and all these things. And we were constantly rebuking our brothers and sisters for learning the ways of the heathen. So it's no coincidence that they're trying to stick that doctrine in here in Christianity, the same way that all these pagan holidays, they took them and just stuck them in Christianity and said, oh, this has to do with Christ. But it doesn't. So we're in Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 10, and we're going to read 1 through 10 because we want to see what is this statute, what is this law of Yaakov that Dawid is talking about in Psalms.
Numbers chapter 10 and verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shall you make them, that you may use them for the calling of the assembly, and for the journeying of the camps. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to you at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And if they blow but with 1 trumpet, then the princes, which are heads of thousands of Yasharal, shall gather themselves unto you.
All right, so the trumpet had a meaning. We would blow the trumpet in certain ways, and that would let you know what you needed to do according to that trumpet, and it had to be blown a specific way. Go ahead.
When you blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward.
Now, you know what an alarm sounds when your alarm goes off. So when they blow that trumpet or do or whatever, or however they blow it hard, it's to let you know urgency. Just like a radar or, goes off or an alarm goes off to let you know, pay attention. But this alarm that goes off had to go off in a specific way to let the camps on the east parts go forward. So that would be Yehuda. Yehuda would go up first. Go ahead.
When you blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, you shall blow, but you shall not sound an alarm.
So when the congregation, the assembly, is to be gathered together, you shall blow, but not with an alarm. So which that means is like what we do every Shabbat. When we blow the horn, a long sound, to let everybody know it's time to gather. We are getting ready to open up with prayer and assemble and begin a Kodesh Maker, a holy convocation. So there was instructions. So now you understand why it's telling you blow up your trumpet in the new month, in the Hodesh, because you are supposed to gather. It is an assembly where we are to gather together. All right. And in case you are not sure that verse 9 of the fact that you're blowing the trumpet, or the fact that, verse 7, that you're blowing the trumpet to gather people around, it's going to clarify it later in this chapter. When we get to verse 10, it's going to clarify that, yes, you are to blow that trumpet on the new month. Go ahead.
And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
All right, so the high priests were supposed to blow the shofars. The high priest or the watchman. Go ahead.
And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered before Yahweh your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies.
All right, so when we blow the alarm because we are under attack, that is to call the ears of Yahweh. The angels are supposed to come deliver us when we are in our land and our enemy tries to oppress us. That doesn't necessarily mean that Yahweh going to go before us when we want to go, working for a wicked country that has us invading and colonizing other people's lands that have been there thousands of years before we have. That's not the same concept. But when we are in our own domicile, in our own land, in our own homes, so forth and so on, and we blow that shofar for help for the Most High, the angels are supposed to go before us and fight for us. Go ahead.
Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
All right. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months. The beginnings of your months. Let's take a look at that and see what that says. So Numbers 10:10s, what's the Strongs for those?
That's H 2320.
All right, so it says there, also in the day of your gladness, in your solemn days, and in the beginnings, which is Rosh, H 7218, of your months, Hodesh, beginnings of your new months. So it's not talking about the beginnings of your moons, because the moon does not determine a month. And we're going to get into that shortly and show that the moon cannot determine a month. There's not enough days in a lunation to give you full months every month. But here you see clearly in the beginnings of your months, you are to blow with the trumpet. So are we blowing the trumpet because we getting ready to go to war? Are we blowing the trumpets because, the watchman is saying there's a problem? Are we blowing the trumpets because the princes and the heads are supposed to meet? No, we blowing the trumpets because we supposed to mikra. We supposed to gather, and mikra, part of that definition is rehearse. To rehearse righteousness, rehearse going and coming as Yahweh pleases, because at the end of the day, we're auditioning for a part in the kingdom where we're going to have to show up every month, every new month, to keep the new months. And we're not going to have all the different things that we have, like the sun and the moon and the stars and everything to tell us when the new months are. All we're going to get is a shofar blowing and the gates open. That means we got to go. All right, so Shalom, Yafi, Yehuda. Good to see you again. And let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 2. We're going to see some other things we have to do on the new month. So we have to gather. We have to blow the shofar. And then we see there's also offerings that are being made. So this is also why we feast and we eat. And now we're going to see another requirement. And that's going to let you know something else as well. 2 Chronicles chapter 2. And we're going to read verses 1 through 4.
All right, 2 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 1. And Solomon determined to build a house for the name of Yahweh, and a house for his kingdom. And Solomon told out 70,000 men to bear burdens, and 80,000 to hew in the mountain, and 3,600 to oversee them. And Solomon sent to Hiram, the king of Tyre, saying, As you did deal with Dawid, my father, and did send him cedars to build him a house to dwell therein, even so deal with me. Behold, I build a house to the name of Yahweh my Elohim, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning, and evening, on the Shabbats, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feast of Yahweh our Elohim. This is an ordinance forever to Yasharal.
All right, so this is an ordinance forever. This is not something that, is just for a period of time or because we dedicate in a temple. This is what we have to do forever. And again, when you're keeping a commandment, what is Yahweh trying to get us to understand? He's trying to get us to understand that, listen, you got a lot of things going on. You got 6 days to work. You got all these months in the year, and you need to set aside my appointed times. The days that I say gather, you need to gather. You don't really have to understand why, but it helps to understand why. But he also wants us to gather in the heads of these months so that it don't sneak up on us. So there's no people showing up on the second month, on the 18th day, thinking it's unleavened bread, or showing up on the first month on the 7th day, thinking that it's something else. No, it needs to be according to Leviticus 23, where all the holy days are mapped out. So this is why we have to mark and watch for these new months, show the Most High that we are obedient. We're going to show up when he says to show up, and keep his holy days. So this is important that we keep these days so we get a good understanding of how to calculate his holy days. Now we'll see how important this is. We're going to go to Yeshayahu chapter 66, Isaiah chapter 66. Because this is so important that Yah is saying, look, everybody going to keep this. Right now it's just you, because you employees, just like when they have, they about to roll out something new, like Yonatan at your job. When they about to roll out some new procedure at your job, as far as, some kind of new production requirements or whatever they're going to do, they don't call everybody at one time and say, come through. They call the leaders, the prince, the heads, and they go with management and say, look, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a meeting every week because production going to be changing every week. The schedule's going to change every week. Things are going to be different. So I need you to come every week at this time and have this meeting. Then eventually it's opened up. Now they give the meeting to everybody and everybody has to keep it. So y'all started with us first and said, listen, these are all my set appoint times. These are all my meetings. This is when I demand you to be here. Learn this so that while you're doing this, you're also going to be learning how to keep these commandments, all these different things. And you're going to show me you have a heart of obedience towards me. Then once you have that, now you can show the rest of the world how to keep this holiness and how to be on Yah's time instead of your time. So once we learn this and we exercise this, it becomes second nature. Now we just know that this is what we do. Like the Shabbat. When the Shabbat comes around, we're not questioning what we got to do. We know Friday, as soon as it's getting ready to be sundown, we know we good. We're not doing anything. We're not, oh, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? How are we going to get this? You know, oh, I got to do this. No, it's not going to sneak up on us because we are watching. We are marking these days so that we can be on Yah's calendar. All right, so we're in Isaiah, Yeshayah, chapter 66. And we're just going to read verses. Let's start this at 22. We're going to read verse 22 through 24. And shalom, Brother Brian Jones. Good to see you. And shalom, Eliyahu Lavi. Or Levi, Lavi. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But good to see you, brother. Glad to have you aboard.
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain.
All right. So for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and name remain. Now, part of the whole new moon thing is the fact that there's not going to be a moon or a sun in this new heaven and new earth they're talking about. So there's a real contradiction here if they're saying new moon, where you got to look for a moon in order to have a new moon, if there's not going to be a moon or a sun anymore. But yet, this new heavens and new earth is going to remain. We're going to see something else here. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh.
All right, so here again, it uses Hadesh again. And it shall come to pass from one new month to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh. Not from one new moon, because if we go back a few chapters in Isaiah, it tells you point clear, there's not going to be any moon. So how can it be from one new moon to the next? But it can be one new month to the next new month. Now that makes perfect sense. And you'll notice in here, when they do use the word moon in here, it's always referring to the moon. It's never using Hodesh to refer to the moon. It's only used that to refer to holy days, dates, times. That's it. But when they want to talk about seasons and things like that, they'll use moon. Because the moon has its purpose. It does bring in the seasons. Because at the beginning of the year, on Rosh Hashanah, whatever moon phase that you're going to be in, that moon phase is like I don't know what it would be, like a quarter on the calendar. So every beginning of a season, which is right now, if we look at the moon phase right now, it will be the exact same moon phase as the new year. And when we get ready to go into fall, it's going to be the same moon phase. And every year that moon phase is going to change to head the seasons. So the moon is, for calculating things, seasons, because of the schedule that it comes in. Because when you look at it, and I'm jumping ahead, it's 10 days too early in the year. So you add them 10 days up, it adds up to 30 days. So at the end of the day, this new month to new month, saying right here, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh. So even though by the time we get to Isaiah 66, it already told us there's not going to be a moon and a sun anymore, it's still saying we going to come keep the new month. Not only us, but all flesh. So everybody's going to do this. It started with us and it's going to expand to everybody. So it's important that we learn this. All right, so now we're going to get into the Sefer writings. Go ahead and grab Enoch. We're going to go to Enoch chapter 72. Enoch chapter 72. And we're going to read the verses 1 through 12, and we're just going to look at the order of the days in a month. And in the Sefer, it may be 73 or 71. It's always like a chapter off, because in the being that these were all fragments that they put together, whoever published the version of these books would break the chapters at different places, and it would kind of cause it to be off slightly.
We're looking for chapter 72.
Yes, we're going to Enoch. And we're going to read chapter, how does 72 start? What does it say?
After this law?
It should start, it should say the book of the itinerary of the luminary. So,
okay.
Yeah, 71.
All right. Enoch chapter 72 and verse 1. The Sefer of the revolutions of the luminaries of heaven, according to their respective classes, their respective powers, their respective periods, their respective names, the places where they commenced their progress, and their respective months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, explained to me, he who conducted them. The whole account of them according to every year of the world forever, until a new work shall be effected, which will be eternal. This is the first law of the luminaries. The sun and the light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are on the east, and on the west of it at the western gates of heaven.
All right, so first thing that sticks out here is he's giving us the how to calculate the year. He's giving us the calendar system, how to calculate days, how to calculate the days in a month, and how many months and the years, so forth and so on. He's giving us the calculation. Now, the calendar is based off of this. Now, this is the only calendar system here in Enoch. Is the only one where the author at least claims that they got this from Yahweh, that they got this from the angel of Yahweh, a messenger for Yahweh. Every other calendar system, some man made this up. Some man decided that this is how things need to be from his just infinite wisdom. But at least in this one, if it's true, at least the author mentions that the angel of Yahweh gave him this calendar system. Go ahead.
I beheld the gates where the sun goes forth, and the gates where the sun sets, in which gates also the moon rises and the sun and sets, and the conductors of the stars among those who precede them, 6 at the rising and 6 at the setting of the sun. All these respectively, one after another, are on a level, and numerous windows are on the right and on the left sides of those gates. First proceeds forth that great luminary which is called the sun, the orb of which is as the orb of heaven, the whole of it being replete with splendid and flaming fire. Its chariot, where it ascends, the wind blows. The sun sets in heaven, and returning by the north to proceed toward the east, is conducted so as to enter by that gate and illuminate the face of heaven. In the same manner it goes forth in the first month by the great gate. It goes forth through the fourth of those 6 gates, which are at the rising of the sun.
All right. So again, what it's talking about is there are 6 gates. Look at it like a rainbow, like this, like a rainbow with each color gate. All right. So the 4th gate would be, if you start from the bottom, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. The 4th gate was the great gate. That's the one in the middle. That's where the first month starts. And as each day, as the sun goes from east to west, east to west, east to west, rising, setting, it's going up and down.
And the night